Well, happy Thursday, everybody. It's me, Robert Phoenix, and we are back for another edition of the Astro Weather, and I am your Astro Weatherman. And I hope everybody is having a sunshiny start to your day. And if you're in another part of the world, I hope that your evening and your day has been, at the very least, instructive, at the very best, sublime. So greetings to everybody and welcome to the show today. We have a lot of ground to cover. So it was my lucky night last night at the boat, the world famous. The boat is becoming one of my favorite hangouts here in Kerrville. It actually kind of looks like a boat and is on the river, and the food is actually halfway decent. It's not terrible, and for Kerrville, that's something. And they have a kind of a big U-shaped bar, and then they have a dining area, and then they have a deck area. And I went with my buddy, my personal trainer, my guy Homer, who is a great guy, who'll be working with Chris this weekend over here at the Kerrville Folk Festival. Chris is going to be in town, and he's going to have a table selling CBD, and he needed somebody to pour some of his CBD fizzy drinks, and my guy Homer, I hooked him up, so he's going to help out Chris. So last night after we worked out, I said, "Hey, I'm going to the boat for some dinner." He says, "I'd like to go." I said, "Well, come on, let's go. Let's go to the boat." So we go to the boat, and they're playing a form of bingo. It's called, I think, Silo or something like that. And they have a DJ. They have these bingo cards that are made up, and there's two on either side. And they actually have like the cue codes on each one. And they have these song titles all around the bingo card. And when we got there, they were playing like 80s hair metal bands, right? And so he played the song, and if you knew the song, you could scratch it off, which would be helpful just in case somebody else knew it before you. But at the end of the song, not even at the end, he would only play like maybe, 45 seconds. And then he would say the name of the song, so you would go around your bingo card, right, and scratch it off. So the first game that they'd already played one or maybe more, but these are money games now, right? They're giving out money for winners. And the first game we get into, who's a money winner? Right here. $10. Boom. So I'm like, man, this is a good night, right? So I'm not really attached to the money. I just give it to the bartenders, whatever. And then the last game we play, which is one of those games where you have to go cross and cross, like both ways, right? And it was a big $20 pot for that game. Who's the winner? So yesterday was a good day to play basically pop rock bingo. I had the right cards. What can I say? This is what passes for fun and entertainment in Kerrville. Just letting you know. All right, who do we got here? DJ MC. Oh, look at Barbara. It's late here. Good morning. Lovely thumbnail. I hope you do like the thumbnail and the Gemini theme that we'll be experiencing throughout Gemini. Yes, it's about pairs and twinning. All right, who else we have? Janice Phillips. What's going on, Janice? Road Trip 1981. That's our friend Darlene. KK, California Contrarian, is behaving too. The new next, the ultimate performance of Swan Lake. Thank you, man. New next to Janice. Do you guys know each other? I think you're both Sooners. I think you're both Sooners. Liddy Lou. What's up, Liddy Lou? Liddy Lou. I'll be paying a visit to Liddy Lou pretty darn soon up there in McKinney, Texas. Doing some readings and hanging out. Getting some of that good McKinney barbecue. Let's see who else do we have here. Harry Bowie. Hey, I love saying that. Let's just all say it. Hey, clears your throat. I love that. The bottom end. You know what I used to be into? Tube and throat singing. You know, and doing those overtones, you know, in the mouth. Actually, I practice that. You get to, kind of curl your tongue on the inside. And you get those overtones. Man, you ever want to like really get into your throat chakra? Sing along to some tube and throat singing. It'll trust me, change your life. Let's see. Let me back it up here. Back it up, baby. Back it up. All right. We're going way back in the time. Let's see. For all you New York Knicks fans out there, I'm sorry. You're dealing with the cardiac kids in the Indiana Pacers. The never say die Indiana Pacers. All right, where are we? Jackie DeLorean. Moon conjunct Venus today for Liddy Lou. Focus on creating beautiful moments. If I were you, I'd have a really good meal. That's what I'd do. Catherine Rosen. Hi, Catherine. Countdown with Saturn, Father Time. Getting his armor on. Ooh, yep, that's right. So did you guys catch Trump yesterday with Cyril Ramaphosa, the guy who is the head of the ANC in South Africa? Holy fucking shit. It might have been the greatest fucking troll of all time. I mean, listen. Trump brought the hammer because the guy is like denying all the African genocide stuff. And Trump has him on video urging people to kill the boar. And he's playing it right there. He had it ready to go. He was ready to go. The torpedoes were loaded. Damn the torpedoes. Man, Trump emptied the fucking clip on that guy yesterday. Oh my God. Trump is like fucking master troll. I'm sorry, you like him or not. There are certain things about Trump that I have a few issues with. You know, maybe not as many as other people, but man, God, he set that whole thing up perfectly. He was so nice to him. And Ramaphosa was just, he was letting his guard down. And then, boom, Trump just fucking dropped the hammer on the guy. I've never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it. And it's Gemini season, and it's only going to get better for the Donald. On a cleansing fast with Mars, Venus giving me good juju. There you go, Catherine. Catherine, by the way, I met another reflector. I had a reading client, reflector, good dude, really good dude. Reflectors are some of the most fascinating people, I got to say. Fasting is an important part of good health. I agree with that. Let's see. Lena Winkler. Hi, Lena. Good to see you. Who else do we have here? Hadilas 99. Blessings. Devin, guess what? Devin made a little short clip of me being on her show. And a friend of mine who is a publicist and, what else is she? Well, a friend and a publicist. She sent it to me. She sent me Devin's clip. She said, "Oh my God, I love this. I'm like, so Devin, your little clip is making the rounds, right? I didn't send it to her. She just found it somehow. So thank you for doing that. Let's see what Devin has to say here. Hi, I think the sun sextile Neptune this morning has me wanting to play hooky from work. Last day of school for kids too. Well, I would say you could play hooky with your kids, but it is the last day. And you got to say their goodbyes and see you next year. Have a good summer. PMSO, Janine, how you doing? Jupiter Day in Florida, especially Jupiter, Florida. My man Ryan is here. Hi, Ryan. Good to see you. Yes, come on over. Locals, join the fun. Platinum Happiness. Hope you all have a fantastic day. Yes, indeed. And you as well. You as well. Steve, Zarelith Eternal, he's with us. Greetings. Great dawn rising. Hail, Zarelith. Helium Heart Rosie's here. Yes, don't forget to like and subscribe. Yes, please hit that like and subscribe. Hit that like and subscribe. Bang, bang. Tom's here. I keep hearing school's out for summer. Alice Cooper. Love Alice Cooper. Yes. Oh, my God. Let me tell you. Okay. If you didn't catch yesterday's show on Pam Fine, Alex Fine's mother, Alex, of course, the dutiful husband of Cassie Ventura, who is been front and center in the Diddy trial. I did a show based on a very strange court case that Alex Fine's mother, Pam Fine, was involved with a fellow by the name of John Tumpkin, who was supposedly her boyfriend and a coach at the University of Colorado, a case that took 2 years to resolve, a trial in which she never attended one day until the sentencing. And I went in and I just kind of, untangled all the knots and took a blowtorch to what I think was just absolutely ridiculous hypocrisy on Pam Fine's part. And today we've got like a major, this is like the big part 2. And I'm just going to give you guys a heads up that in 2023, there was a shooting at Oxford High School in Michigan. Oxford, I believe it's Oxford Hills or Oxford. It's out maybe 40 minutes outside of Detroit. And there was a young man by the name of Ethan Grumbly. And Ethan, I believe it was November 23rd. It's a weird day. And I'll tell you, I'll bring that up on the show. Ethan brought a 9mm to school and wound up killing 4 kids and injuring some other kids. And the lead counselor, the person who was involved in psychologically kind of profiling and using their expertise in the world of anti-bullying, was Pam Fine. Yeah, that's right. Alex Fine's mother, Alex Fine, who is right there by Cassie's side in New York, his mother was there at the school, theoretically supervising Ethan Grumbly's meltdown prior to the shooting. This is an extremely bizarre story, a bizarre case, fraught with so many inconsistencies. And when you really get into the weeds, one of the biggest inconsistencies is Pamela Fine. Man, I look, when I got into this, I couldn't believe what I was reading. So it's a big tease, but you got to come over. You got to come over and see this Rumble show. And it's part 2 of Alex Fine's absolutely batshit crazy mother, who should not be anywhere near a school system or a microphone. Okay? And I'll get into why. Then there's another like related situation to that, which was the trial of Ethan Grumbly's parents, who are now also in jail. And a good friend of the show, AJ, who's a lawyer, we were texting, and I brought that up to him. Well, he brought it up to me, and he said that what happened to the parents is also a grave miscarriage of justice. And I know that AJ is a lawyer. I said, hey man, can you just put together a brief on that for me so I can bring it onto the show, and you can essentially state why many of their rights were abrogated, railroaded, and why they're in jail. And he said, yes. So not only will we untangle the weird Pam Fine case, but we'll also, in a roundabout way, look at the miscarriage of justice for Ethan Grumbly's parents and a legal, scholarly review of what went wrong with the trial. So you're not going to want to miss this show. I'm telling you, nobody else is talking about this. Nobody else is looking at Pam Fine, and she's toxic. She is absolutely toxic. And people, there are people that kind of came to the defense of Cassie yesterday. And I understand why, right? I understand why. Like, sometimes psychologically you get in the dungeon and you can't get out. And I mentioned this. Everybody's had kind of a relationship or two like that, right? For whatever reason, there are these weird, like, psychological hooks inside of you and in the relationship, and it will take you almost every ounce of will to extract yourself from the relationship. So that can happen. I think there was some of that with Cassie. I still believe that she liked the life. I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. But what I will say is that her relationship with P. Diddy, incredibly toxic, right? A toxic relationship. And from what I can see and piece together with Pam Fine, she's part of the toxic mom club. So what is Alex Fine really trying to do? Is he trying to stand by, Cassie and be the good dad? Is he a mastermind and now they're $20 million richer after taxes and lawyers' fees? Or is he desperately trying to work out his toxic relationship with his mother? We're going to look at some of that on 15 minutes. But I got a little bit of a kicker, and I'll tell you guys, it's a bit of a tease. So remember the coach who was in this bizarre trial with Pam Fine, a guy named John Tumpkin, who was a linebackers coach at the University of Colorado and pled to a misdemeanor after he had like all these felony counts and all this stuff because there was no case. There was no case. Pam would have had to have gone to trial, got on the stand, and she would have been shredded. Okay, shredded. And so he's like, okay, I'll take the misdemeanor plea. Guess what? He hasn't coached football since then. Do you know why I know? I spoke to John Tumpkin yesterday. I got him on the phone and we talked. And I don't know if he'll be able to come onto the show. I invited him. There may be some legal issues as to whether or not he could come on the show. But I invited him and he said he would get back to me on Monday. And if he can come on the show and there's some guardrails, we're going to hear John Tumpkin's side of the story. Okay? And this guy has not coached football for 10 years because he went through what I consider to be a sham of a fucking trial, which ruined his life. Man, I like this sun Uranus conjunction. And then now the sun's shifting into Gemini. The journalism, it's like the journalistic, sort of blood is churning in me. I like doing the research. I like talking to people and hunting down facts. So you can have your own version of this with the sun in Gemini, right? All right. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that. Freight train, you got here. Welcome. Good to see you. Yes, if you feel like you want to support the show, buy me a cup of coffee. And for everybody who's bought me a cup of coffee, thank you so much. It helps keep the sign on. Let's see. Big Dave Sullivan. What's happening, Dave? Green Eyed Crow. Kelly B. Laura E. Desley Logan. What's going on, Desley? Thank you. I have the ability every now and then to have a beautiful thought. I have other thoughts in my head that always aren't so beautiful, and I'm not too proud to admit that. But I thought, what would be a beautiful symbol of Gemini? Two swans together, looking very similar on a lake, and then literally comprising a heart. That came from my Virgo heart. Let's see. Nice light. What's happening? Neil Smith. Saving the Boars Farmer today. Support the Boars. Salty Cow. There's my guy. Like and subscribe. Gonna put them there. Christina Maria. Grazie, grazie. Stephanie Hunter. Another gorgeous morning. There you go. Thank you. Let's see who else do we have here. Namisu, Amy Gill. Did I say hi to Darlene? Hi, Darlene. Still light. Still light. Let's see. SP Dimples. We got an SP Dimples sighting. What's up, SP? She's our transcontinentalist. Let's see. Catherine Rosen. When are you going to travel to visit many states? All right. So I've had to put that on hold. I've had to put the travel piece on hold for now. And I may revisit that a little bit later. So I had to put it on hold for a number of reasons. One of them is actually astrological, which I'll get into. Thank you for reminding me, Catherine. Appreciate that. Leah Reynolds is here. Hi, Leah. Kelly, hey, you've been here. It's been a while. We kept the light on for you. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Kristen Foos. Hello, Kristen. Perspective Eyes, Micro Blue. What's happening? Yeah, it's wild, right? Oh, just wait. You want wild? Just wait. Today it is fucking off the hook. When we look at the shooting at Oxford High, and Pan Fine is at the epicenter of the whole damn thing. The whole damn. Oh, you're talking about Trump. Oh, that was epic. That was totally fucking epic. Bitcoin at 11K, 111. Wow, get in on it. There's still time. Reflectors, rare bunch. I know. I love reflectors. They're like so chilled. They're really chill people, man. You're cat right here, Catherine, right there. Super chill, beautiful Piscean reflector. Look at that. Let's see. Oh yeah, of course, Devin. Absolutely. Brian Scott, Gemini in the house. Welcome to both of you, Brian. Diane Evans is here. Yeah, man, just wait. Just wait till today. Holy, I'm so psyched. I am so psyched about today's show. And whose mom? Alex Fine. Alex Fine is Cassie Ventura's husband. And she's right at the center of the Diddy trial. And by the way, like, I don't know if they're really going to try to get this trafficking thing on Diddy. She's the wrong witness to have. I'm telling you right now, she is the wrong witness to have because the defense kind of took her apart with her texts. And I'm not going to get into it, but it was not a good start to the trial, even though there's a lot of sympathy for her. Brandy Herrera. Brandy Herrera. Pam wasn't sleeping with the judge. No, exactly. Exactly. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you know what was really interesting? I don't know if John can come on the show, but he's actually a really, really nice guy. Right? My guy, there he is. Dr. Longo, paging Dr. Longo. Gucci the Goats. There's Jake. There's Jan. Biavino. I'm a reflector, and I find it difficult to be here on Earth. You should have a chat with Catherine. She's figured out how to navigate. Let's see. Lamb Chop is here. And let's see, are we up to speed? All right. I think we're all here. We're all here. Perspectivized. All right. Yeah, check out our guy. Old World Florida. Let's get him up here. He's right there. Professor Longo. Professor Longo in the house. All right, let's do our weather. I know. A lot of meet and greet today, but it is Gemini, so be a little bit verbose on the oratory. Okay, so here we go. Let's do a little share screenaroo here, and of course, we're going to have to burn one. Going to burn it, because that's how StreamYard is working these days. Stop sharing. Okay, we're back, and take 2. All right, and there we go. And I'm going to come back, and I'm going to just minimize myself a little bit more, maximize that image, and let's get into it. All right. So the Gemini train is off and running. There we go. 1 degree. Woohoo. And look at these sweet trine we got there with Pluto. I think that's really what has been inspiring and getting me motivated to get into the deep digging, deep dive part of this whole thing with Diddy and Cassie coming from her husband's side, and because nobody's talking about it. Nobody is talking about it. Oh, Cassie this, Cassie that, and and her loyal and dutiful husband, right? Nobody's digging in the dirt in that. So for me, it's great. It's like, hey, it's like when Janice's ancestors ran out there in the land grab in Oklahoma. Maybe the new next, maybe his ancestors were there. Maybe they were speeding against one another, right? When they had that big, go. You got your plot of land. That's what it feels like. But I think that's available for everybody right now. So this is a time where you can do deep digging and you can get rapid results. And I'm a big fan of the phone. I've always loved the phone. Right? When I was a kid, I used to do prank phone calls. There'd be people I'd talk to for hours. I had my grandmother talk to me for hours. So Gemini is a prime time for communication, right? And I think the phone, so instead of sending the guy the email, I called him up. So this is a good time to use that old phone. The phone that you have lying around, maybe it's your cell phone. Some people still have landlines. But in whatever form of communication, we have this really awesome opportunity with the Sun-Pluto trine to dig and find things and find them quickly, and then find all kinds of relevance, and then synchronicities start to just snap, crackle, and pop. So if you have been struggling with problem solving, or there are things that you just don't want to deal with and been putting off, just get into it. Just get into it and start processing. Start digging, start processing. You'll find what you need. You'll get to the bottom of things. You'll get to it quickly. And sometimes even, trusting your hunches, because that's what I did yesterday. I punched his name into the computer, and there was his phone number, right? And he actually answered the damn phone. And I'll just share one other thing with you about that phone conversation. And so I asked him, I said, so how are you doing with your life? And he said, I'm good. I'm really good. I'm a trainer. At night, I got a job working security at a casino in Atlantic City. I'm in a relationship. It's a really good relationship. But I really miss what I love to do. And I said, that's coaching, right? He says, yeah, that's coaching. I haven't coached since then. And that guy has been essentially blacklisted. Meanwhile, Pam Fine is running around doing fucking podcasts. I'm sorry. This is a Gemini thing, and it's this Pluto trine. And I don't like people getting fucked over. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. I don't like people getting fucked over. I've always kind of been that way. But this is a good time, this is where you can, pedal to the metal, get to the bottom of things. And it's good. It's really good. We got a lot of sextile action as well, too, right? We got that Mercury at, what was it, 20? Let me zoom in just a little bit. I have to re-up my prescription, my glasses. 22. You got Mercury at 22. Good number, right? 22 degrees coming in, and it is sextiling the moon today. And so we have a moon-Saturn conjunction, and then Neptune sitting right on the port. That is a really interesting, we'll call it a stellium, even though Neptune is at 1 degree Aries, right? Like they're there, it is kind of a threesome. You got yourself a threesome with the moon, Saturn, and Neptune. I really like this, right? Because moon, Saturn is really sober and, austere, and especially in Pisces, when I think of Saturn moon conjunction in Pisces, I think of Puritanism. Like that's what it feels like, this kind of puritanical code. And I do think that there is a new wave of Puritanism coming to America. And that's going to be part of the Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries. When it all finally lines up, there's going to be a new Puritanism in the US. It is coming. Okay. So when I think of Saturn moon, that's what I think of in general. But here's Neptune on top of it. And so what Neptune does, right, is Neptune, kind of brings, even though it's in Aries, I know it's in Aries, but it's still Neptune, right? And what it does is it softens this Saturn moon conjunction. So today is a great day, and you throw Mercury in there in the sextile. Today is a great day to have boundaries, right? Saturn moon conjunction, that's some boundary shit right there. And the moon is conjunct the true node. So we have this lunar phase going on, like super, super high moon because of the conjunction with the true node being the ascending plane of the moon, right? That's how it's the true node or the north node. So we have a day today where there's boundaries. Like, and it's good. It's good to have boundaries with the Saturn moon. But Neptune gives you the permeable boundary, right? It's kind of like it's the best of both worlds. It's like you can set the boundary, but you don't have to be like completely rigid and have like a fortification, a castle wall between you and everybody else, right? Because that's kind of an overcorrection in some ways. So Neptune's a bit permeable, but there's still like boundary territory. And we have Mercury in here, and it's sextiling everything. So if you needed to tell people about your boundaries or what you're willing to do or not do, today is a great day to do that because Mercury in Taurus is pretty grounded and pretty by the book, right? And it's like Joe Friday, just the facts, man. And so we have this fantastic ability today to be kind of empathic with the Mercury-Neptune sextile. Like we're not just summarily, closing down the border, but at the same time, we are if we need to, right? We are if we need to. And so just, and here's the thing about astrology. You can say, well, this was just a particular day and just particular aspects. No, if you do something like this and you practice it and you integrate it, guess what? It becomes a part of you. This is how astrology works, right? Transits, although they may be transitory, you're supposed to bring them into your electromagnetic field, your body, your cellular memory, so that you can reset, right? These are opportunities to reset, especially with the sextile, because the sextile is basically saying, act now. Act now, right? Here it is. This is an opening. It is an activation point. And then we throw in the Mercury-Uranus conjunction, and we have creative ways of communicating. And sometimes with these aspects, these sextiles, you don't even really have to do anything except listen, let the other people say what they need to say. And you can say, well, I'm not, that's really wonderful, or that's really sad, and I'm sorry that that's happened to you, and I hope that things improve. And I actually have a call I have to make or whatever, because what'll happen, right? You'll get sometimes people will just offload on you, right? And it's like most people here in chat or watching this show, you're all good people. And so what do? We listen, right? We listen and, oh yeah, oh, that's terrible, right? And the next thing you know, 40 minutes of your life have gone by. And you're never going to get those 40 minutes back. Now, those 40 minutes could be very, very valuable if you are conscious and aware of what's going on in those 40 minutes. Don't allow yourself to just be like one of those, when an RV rolls into an RV camp and they have to, dump their sewage, their waste and their water, whatever. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be the dump site at an RV camp. No, don't. Okay. So today you can listen, but there's a limit to the listening. Right? There is a limit to the listening. You don't have to just, summarily shut people down, but it's like, you know what? I'm really sorry that happened. And man, I really, really have to get going here. And I hope things, turn around for you. And then you go. Right. Just go. Like there's a lot that can happen today on a communication level. If you're paying attention, you're really paying attention. I think there's kind of magic in the air, actually. There can be conversations that can be difficult. And guess what? They don't have to be that difficult. That's on the other side of it. If you initiate the conversation, right? What's the number one rule in all conversations? The number one rule is you ask the person if they want to hear what you have to say. That's the number one rule. And when you do that and they say yes, you have permission, you have a contract, you have a really an unspoken, well, it is spoken, but a binding agreement to have a conversation in that moment, right? So today I feel like there's a lot of good stuff on the table today, astrologically. We got some Earth with Moon and Uranus, even though it's like, kind of quirky Earth, right? We got some fire with that lead dog Mars, which is still in that trine with Venus and Chiron. So there's still a lot of like passion and creativity, and it's a good time. This is a great trine to have right now during spring. I'm just telling you, right? We got some air, we got Jupiter, we got Pluto. So everything's kind of balanced out a little bit here. And then we have water, which is contained. Right. So this water is in the containment of like a vessel, a cistern, a bowl, right? It's not just, running rampant everywhere, and it's easily accessible. And by the way, for people out there who actually play with or work with water, like maybe that's one of your jams, what's her name? That Lita Austin, who's I think that's her name. She's from Australia. She's doing a bunch of work on water. Who's it? Yamamoto guy. Like if you are into water work, today is your day. Like this is a great day to do like experiments or literally dive into the structure of water. Because if you are that type and you've got this Mercury Uranus conjunction sextiling all this water, the secrets of water will reveal themselves. If that's your jam, you can go there. All right, let's do our star of the day. Our True Hemp Science star of the day. I gotta say, Gemini, you're off to a hot start here, Gemini. Let me just tell you, you're off to a hot start. Today's True Hemp Science star of the day is none other than Harvey Milk. Yes, Harvey Milk. All right, let me use this opportunity to tell you about True Hemp Science, which is the sponsor of the show, besides myself, Robert Phoenix, and robertphoenix.com. By the way, we're looking at the new website on June 11th. I picked that day on for a particular reason. So everything should be nice and tidy, and it's going to be integrated. I'm psyched about the new website. Okay, so True Hemp Science. If you're in Kerrville or the Kerrville area, you may want to check out the Kerrville Folk Festival. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Our guy Chris will have a table there, and he will be actually pouring CBD drinks and selling True Hemp Science products. All you got to do is spend $100 or more there, type in 15MINS, you get the goodie bag. And the goodie bag is always filled with goodies. And the centerpiece of the goodie bag is always some gummies, and you will like the gummies. The gummies are your friend. And you probably get a few other things, some smaller tinctures. $150 more, get you free shipping. There's always a 30-day money-back guarantee. Check out the website, truehempscience.com. And we do a Harvey Milk thing here. Hold on a second. So I can get so you guys can see the chart, because it's really not up there. And yesterday, I started to talk about the chart and wasn't there. There you go. All right. All right. And 30-day money-back guarantee with all the products. Harvey Milk, St. Harvey. Where do I start? Well, how about with this chart? Let's start with this chart. Harvey Milk was perverse. Not only was he perverse, but I believe he was a sadist. Why do I believe that? Let's take a look at the chart. Uranus, Mars conjunction in Aries. Okay, well, Aries is male energy, right? It's male energy. And the conjunction with Uranus makes it radical, unpredictable. And in my estimation, Mars-Uranus conjunction in Aries, especially with the T-square that it's dancing in, is absolutely and utterly sadistic. Sadistic. We have turned a sadist into a saint. Let that roll around in your brain. A sadist into a saint. Mars-Uranus conjunction, second house, square Pluto. He's got a Mars-Pluto square. He has a Mars-Pluto square. And he is tied into Dan White, who was a supervisor in San Francisco. And Dan White did not like Harvey Milk. And Dan White had a hard time with Harvey Milk and his bullshit. Because Harvey Milk, the mayor of Castro Street, was making life difficult for Dan White and a lot of other people on the board of super. He was hijacking San Francisco politics and was essentially creating a gay army. Look at that. Mars, Mars, and Aries. A gay army in the Castro district. Harvey Milk was born in New York, and eventually he matriculates to New York City. He's part of the Central Park sort of coterie of homosexuals who hang out there and pick up other dudes. You know, he would go to all the different, underground clubs and bars in New York City, and was kind of, getting involved a little bit in New York politics. But he gets kind of tired of the scene, and he moves to San Francisco with his partner, and they open a camera shop in the Castro. Now, he had run for supervisor 2 other times before getting elected, and he used a bunch of publicity stunts to help him get elected. But once he gets elected, he's very cagey, and he's a very wily political operative. And I think he's actually really good at turning people against each other. And Dan White didn't like it. Dan White stepped down. I guess somebody talked to Dan White and got in his head and say, hey, look, you're not going to be able to change the situation if you give up your seat on the board of supervisors. Dan White goes back to George Moscone, who is another fucking pervert, and he wants his supervisorial seat back. Well, Moscone talks to Harvey Milk, and Harvey Milk says, no, you can't give it back to him. You don't do it. Don't do it. Why? Because Dan White was like anti-Harvey Milk. And Harvey Milk did not want a rival on the board of supervisors. So once word gets back to Dan White that Harvey Milk, the guy who has been his nemesis on the board of supervisors, Dan White is about as straight and white as it gets. He was a firefighter, then he became a cop. He didn't really like being a cop, by the way. And one of the things he hated was corruption. And eventually they got tired of him sort of turning other guys in. They gave him kind of a desk job, and that's when he eventually runs for like the seat on the board of supervisors, gets the seat, and kind of goes toe to toe with Harvey Milk. And that's where it all starts, right? But it ends with Dan White killing Harvey Milk and killing George Moscone. So who kills Harvey Milk? Dan White, who's a first responder below Aries. And Harvey Milk's got this Mars Uranus conjunction squaring up against Saturn. He is incredibly anti-authority, right? Like hardcore anti-authority. And he's got that square with Pluto. Not only is he kind of a very wily, scheming political operative, but again, he's also a sadist. And he was a frequenter of the San Francisco bathhouse scene. You don't know what that was about. It was crazy. It was wild. They had these bathhouses, most of them south of Market, and then some of it extended into the Castro district, where all these gay men would gather together. And guess what they would do? They would just do whatever they wanted to do all day, all night long. Like, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility if Harvey Milk could have, 6, 7 different random anonymous partners in a day. That was the scene in San Francisco. So one of the things he had to do is he had to stop going to the bathhouses, because now he was a supervisor, right? It's all bullshit. And he's an Aquarius rising. And again, there's, I think, a good, like a positive side and a negative side to certain signs, right? I'm just being honest. And so there's like the high and the low octave. So the low octave of Aquarius is somebody who is basically a shit disturber for the sake of being a shit disturber. And in a lot of ways, that typifies Harvey Milk, right? He's got this Mercury square his ascendant. Mercury Taurus, retrograde, third house. What does he do retrograde? He's dealing with Dan White's retrograde decision to go back onto the board of supervisors, and Harvey says full stop. Okay, what do we have here? We got the Venus-Jupiter conjunction in Gemini. Talking about lots of different partners. Look, Harvey's got issues with his parents too. Issues with his mother, issues with his father. They abound all over the... By the way, Harvey Milk was also a soldier. I believe Mr. Milk fought in the Korean War, or he didn't fight, but he was part of that, whatever the fuck. My father was in the Korean War, but he was there. He was a part of... I think he might have been a sailor. And then, he's got this Piscean moon, right? This Piscean moon, intercepted house, squaring Jupiter, squaring Venus. What's enough for Harvey Milk? That's the question, right? That is what is the bottom of the glass for Harvey? Like, is more. That's what you get with those squares, Jupiter square with the moon. Here's the thing, right? This guy was a despicable human. He was a fucking despicable human. And on so many levels. And Hollywood has sanctified him. They sanctified him. Sean Penn portrayed him. Didn't he get an Oscar for that? Like, if you want to get an Oscar in Hollywood, play somebody gay. You're bound to get an Oscar. Work for Tom Hanks, work for Matthew McConaughey, work for Sean Penn. Like, if you want to get an Oscar, play a queer. And listen, I am not here to denigrate people who are men loving men. Hey, that's what you're going to do. That's your thing. More power to you, right? Like, just don't take it into the schools, and just don't try to foist your lifestyle upon the rest of us, right? I mean, I think we all, just kind of want to be, do your thing, just leave us alone. We've always kind of been that way. Do your thing. And what happens is all these fucking people just want to cram their fucking lifestyle or cram their, litany of complaints, their culture of grievance. And it's like, enough, right? Enough. So we talk about like black fatigue. That's a big thing going around. There's a lot of fatigue going around, right? This is not just black fatigue. There is like adjacent fatigue. And it's like, enough. We've had enough. We have had enough of the sanctification of this guy who became a martyr, right? That's another thing. You want to be sanctified? Be a martyr. Get killed. You could be the most evil, vile piece of shit, but if for whatever reason you're killed, now all of a sudden the left, wants to, create an icon for you, right? And I feel like we're, just watch this Saturn Neptune thing in Aries. Holy shit. Well, part 2 on Sunday night. People are done. We're done. We're over this bullshit. We're over it. Right? It's kind of like what Trump did yesterday in the White House. He's like, yeah, I'm kind of over it. Dude, you're a fucking liar. Don't lie here. If I was a head of state, I would think twice about going into that room with Donald Trump and doing a little press conference. Ooh, I would think twice. You know what will happen? Next time Trump does that, he'll be super nice, and it'll be a really great and positive experience. And the leaders will go, wow, that was nice, Trump. I guess we can go back again. Don't rest on those. Don't rest on that. Harvey Milk, not a good dude, right? This is not a good dude. This is a fucking cardinal T-square, and the planets are heavy. He's got a Saturn-Pluto opposition. Harvey Milk wanted to kill his father. I'm telling you that right now. He wanted to kill his father. That's Saturn-Pluto opposition. It's like, death to dad. Well, if you can't kill dad, then what are you going to do? Well, you're going to kill the next thing that is representative of dad, which it would be like society, right? Like, this thing that's been built around us by primarily men, right? For better or worse, that would be the next iteration. So Harvey Milk wanted to tear down society. He wanted to tear down San Francisco. He wanted to make the Castro district the epicenter of San Francisco. In fact, if Harvey Milk had his way, he probably would have been very happy to just make San Francisco entirely gay. And, bye-bye. The other thing that Harvey Milk did, and this is like a big, big part of San Francisco, and it's about the regentrification of San Francisco. And if you go back into the Castro district, say like, early 60s, late 50s, the Castro district is this area that's kind of near the Mission. So there's, certainly some Mexican and Latino families that are there. The Mission used to be a lot of Irish people. There were Irish people in the Castro. You get into that upper market area, and it was all kind of San Francisco sort of, middle classy to, sort of lower middle classy. And then Harvey Milk and that contingency move in, and then they start to gentrify everything. Now, listen, some of those Victorians, these guys have an eye for detail. They're very good at that shit, right? And some of those Victorians look great. Like, I'm not going to take that away from him, but what happened is it forced other people out. It forced other people out of those neighborhoods, right? So now we have this cycle of regentrification that begins in San Francisco, and it starts to move into places like the Western Addition and Fillmore. And by the way, Kamala Harris plays a huge role in moving Black families out, so people like Harvey Milk can go in and essentially regentrify those areas as well. So he has not just a huge role in San Francisco politics, but also the demographics and the sort of the resettling of people that had been there, right? Because you know what happens, like they come in and the property values go up and the property taxes go up, and the next thing you know, the people that were there before have to leave. So anyway, a little history in a nutshell. And that nutshell is St. Harvey Milk. You know, I saw this when I was looking at pictures for him. He was on the cover of Teen fucking Vogue magazine. All right. And this is not during the 70s. Like, this is in like the 2010s. Like 2015, 2016. He was on the fucking cover of Teen Vogue. And they were talking about him and what a marvelous person he was, what a great person he was. You know, I'm surprised he hasn't gotten a fucking Nobel Award. And so they're peddling him to like teens, youth. And who do you think is in charge of those magazines? It's not, quote unquote, straight heterosexual, people who want to give them healthy and wholesome role models. No, it's Harvey Milk's tribe. That's who's running Teen Vogue, right? That is who is running Teen Vogue. And at the end of the day, Harvey Milk was really on the cusp of creating a gay mafia in San Francisco. That's what he was doing. That's what he was doing until Dan White had to put a stop to that. And that's a whole other story. Okay. Again, I got no animus for people. If that's your thing, if that's your jam, that's your jam. But this guy was a destroyer. He was a destroyer. You can see it in his chart. And eventually, his behavior and his attitude, his cockiness, his smarminess, his palace intrigue destroyed him. The legend of Harvey Milk. All right, there we go. Thanks for being here. You know the drill. Have yourself a great day. Treat each other well. Take great care of yourselves. God bless you. Love you all. Be the best versions of who you can be and a representative of God the Almighty, the Most High, on a momentary basis every single day. And guess what? Good things will come your way. All right, take care. Bye for now.